communication has never really been my strong point, but I'm getting better at it, and that's what it's about to a large capacity. It's like any kind of honest training. Reminds me when I used to do push hands with my Tai Chi instructor. You know, sometimes we'd stay within the certain parameters to focus on certain skills, and sometimes we'd do free push hands, you know, and he'd say, come, try anything you like, go ahead. So it's interesting how people are talking about cultivation when clearly sure, they're refining a certain kind of skill. It's always about giving credit where credit is due. But we're not going beyond that. We're not kissing anyone's ass or demanding they apologize for something, even if they, you know. So, you know, I look at what is available online nowadays, and I try to follow the best people like Damo Mitchell, you know, like Adam Mizner, like Sergio, that I can see they're really, you know, sort of at the cutting edge of their craft, you know. It would be really cool if that could be like doing push hands with my instructor, where they would really, you know, meet you at any, meet you head on with whatever, you know. And then if I'm wrong about something, then go ahead and show me where I was wrong, and then I can improve, and then, you know, you've then got that under your belt, and that's cultivation, isn't it? So really thankful for these people, and so really I give thanks for the excellent videos that they make that I'm able to watch for free, a lot of them. But yeah, it's like maybe it's just a New Zealand thing, some of it, you know. There's pros and cons about New Zealand. It's very much a very pacifist, almost passive aggressive, sort of just going along with the current thing that's being you know, popularized by overseas far left, you know, media and stuff. Of course, we also have, you know, various issues. It's not about taking any sides, but just observing what's going on, you know. It's interesting when they go into the subject of mind and energy. That's really the, like, that's it right there. That understanding, when we arrive at this understanding, then it's clear. Then it's clear. Lars, has a a very strong case for what he's saying. I was on their forum, their Facebook group, Internal Arts Academy, and I very much, initially, I just stayed on what was relevant to me at my level, what I was experiencing with my Dantian Gong, with my Qigong, with my Tai Chi. I took videos of myself doing my Tai Chi form and posted that. I took videos of doing my Nei Gong, posted, and people comment, said, yeah, this is okay, but you could be better here, and no, this part you're doing that wrong. You need to improve this. And so that, I like that aspect of it, that we're all just there to improve together, and like that. Just having a bit of vitamin C here, loading up on the vitamin C, as well as a lot of other vitamins and minerals. Do it every day. But so yeah, I ended up getting kicked out of that group, because inevitably, when a guy like me, with just a kind of openness. Oh, Joe's watching. How you going, Joe? A kind of openness that I supposed it came about sort of, perhaps it was already open in some way, or it was a result of certain brain functions being knocked out when I was sort of in the womb. Just certain genetic, what do you call this? Little issues here and there in the DNA that just, or in my birth development, that just meant that certain brain functions didn't get developed. So, but I always had this, hard to describe, this openness. Yeah, there we go. I had this silence. Like, sometimes I just stand there and stare out into space, and can just hear this silence. And it's just like, I already know, I could already feel a lot of things, just like we all can in that state of mind. When the mind is just aware and open, then there's just so many things that we already know about each other. When our energy starts to get involved, different emotions, and then we start cognitively analyzing things, and then we develop all these different cognitive biases, and the energy goes there. And then what happens, the energy is, the mind is no longer minding the energy is now energizing the mind and creating all these different polarizations. And obviously intelligence organizations like the CIA and and also large corporate organizations and anyone that understands power and how to maintain power, and anyone who that concerns, they realize that if they can mind the energy and get everyone's mind polarized, basically throwing a pair of jumper leads over everyone's minds, and then polarizing them all in a certain way, and then they're basically using all of that energy to power up their narrative. And that's basic mind control. And so the beauty of this openness that I realized is that is not about even if there is a rank, which I guess there is, we can't really, from an absolutist point of view, can we really say that everyone in society is equal? Is a taxi driver equal to a lawyer? Is a lawyer equal to the president? So at least people have different priorities, right? We got to understand that. Like if I want to learn a kung fu skill, I can't go learn it from a beggar on the street. I got to go and find a kung fu master, and then at least I have to show some respect. Hello, master. I very much would like to learn, iron palm. Could you please teach me? And then there's some kind of, respect, whatever. But beyond that, we have this openness in our mind that if I'm open and you're open and the kung fu master's open, then we are aware of, because of that openness which permeates the space between all of our brain waves, then we have a very good basis for communication. And so, if I would restrict myself to the way, if I would try to communicate on other people's terms, then they would have the advantage. They would not necessarily by their own, not necessarily because they want to in their heart, it's just because their mind's been polarized that way. They will end up going out of there a lot of the time, not all of them, but they'll end up making me look like an idiot because they can pick up on the fact that I've got certain brain functions knocked out. So then obviously they're gonna capitalize on that. But if I use my openness, if I synchronize my brain waves, and I open up my space, it freaks them out. They're like, oh shit! They're like, panic. Try to close. It's like having any kind of combative dynamic. It's like I need to create space to get in, and you need to close my space. So there's this kind of opening and closing going on. But at least communication, it shouldn't really be a combative thing. It's just about understanding the other point of view. So yeah, massive, big, huge respect for these people who I learned the kung fu from, But I can only give credit where credit is due. Beyond that, I'm not going to do any ass kissing, which I just see so many people did in that Facebook group, And obviously, I didn't see Damo Mitchell say to people, either directly or in a civilized way, like, it's okay, you don't need to kiss my ass, it's just, we have this openness between us and the space, and we can communicate things. It's fine. A little bit, like I did, And I guess I don't know Damo Mitchell personally, so I can't really, until I actually sit down and have a beer with the guy and get to know him on a personal level. So, but anyway, it's I'm sure he's a nice guy, but yeah. Anyway, they kicked me out of there, and I could see the incongruencies and people making a big laugh about certain areas, while putting their, like, using the wisdom tradition of Nei Gong, of Tai Chi, of the wisdom tradition of meditation, and deriving the truth of something through that wisdom tradition, applying that to the body and combat and all these things. But when you really take a step back and you look at everything going on, then there's certain things that people are not gonna talk to you about, because they know I'm pretty sure Damo Mitchell himself, he's a pretty smart guy, and he would have a certain amount of openness. He would see these things, but because he would be aware that a lot of people even within his group, even his instructors, the mind would be inevitably polarized in some way according to some narratives, like climate change alarmism, or or either side of the political spectrum, or whatever. So I guess for him, he's got to play the game in a very general way, or if things get too specific, then he's got to step back and make it just more general, and that's what I found quite boring about his videos, is that it's, there's just pros and cons, but this is just the con, is that he just goes way too general. Like, if you bring up a certain thing with him, that a certain dynamic, that definitely there's something there, and actually going into that and opening up that can of worms and seeing the yin and the yang interplay between good and evil, what it is, what it isn't, that would be very, very, like, eventually you'd probably get a little bit of upset and emotional releases and this and that, but if you would work through that, just like when you do meditation, you work through it, you smooth out those gaps until you have you have a certain openness, and then you reach a certain kind of singularity. And so that's all I have to kind of say about that, is that how is that cultivation? If you every time, it's like the chess, it's like playing chess, they know this analogy too, is like, or say you're fighting your two boxers, and one guy's about to land a punch and about to close in, and then the other guy just starts bouncing around all over the whole ring and won't even engage. And then how can we see who's winning, and how can there even be a useful dynamic there? Or I was about to use the chessboard example. It's like, if we're playing chess and I made a wrong move, and then you see, you're going to checkmate me, and then you want to put down your piece, but then I pull the chessboard away. I don't even let you. And this is what happened as I was posting in their Facebook group. Like, I saw a lot of people going into, like, talking about their experience about doing qigong on drugs, and one guy mentioned, I took a hit of ketamine and I was doing my bagua, and I could feel these, like, I just felt my body, and I could feel the spirals going right through my body. Wow, it was amazing. And and even stuff more extreme than that, and the moderators were fine with it, you know. And I'm like, well, okay, if it's fine to talk about that, well then why isn't it, then surely it should be okay to open up, to apply the wisdom tradition on other things as well. So we got to mind the energy, don't energize the mind.